Hi guys, welcome back to Skinnybru Rugby. It's round 13 is done, and what a weekend of rugby it was. This is the recap video of the week. If you want to watch the Dream Team video, I'll link it up here. What happened in the Superbru pool for the week? Legendary all the way from New Zealand. He took the lead of the pool after winning the round as well. At the moment, our pool looks closer than the South African conference of the Super Rugby. If you like this video, please press the like button back down below, or press the subscribe if you like the rest of the content. Here's what happened this week. The Blues went down to the Hurricanes 12-22. What a great contest it was. The Blues certainly did not lie down. They had most of the possession with 58% of the ball. And they conceded only 9 penalties to the 16 penalties of the Hurricanes. But as the Hurricanes are, they pounced on the mistakes of the other teams. A couple of an intercept from Beauden Barrett. Jordie Barrett also stood out in this game. Even though the Blues at times had more possession, when they conceded the ball, the Hurricanes had moments of brilliance, individual brilliance rather, where they just tore the defense apart. They had to do a lot of defending, the Hurricanes, and they missed 21 tackles, so that is a high number for them, and they would want to fix that. Then it was the Rebels going up over the Reds 13-24. Rebels increased their point difference over the Reds in the conference. Now it's by 5, so there's a little bit more breathing room for them to ensure their spot in the playoffs. In this game, Hodge, he really starred. He had a little bit of a standout performance with a lot of clean breaks and a couple of good tries. Then for the Reds, they just had an ill-disciplined game again with 2 yellow cards, conceding 14 penalties. Hegarty, last week he had a good game for the Reds. This week again, slotting over 4 penalties and 1 conversion. The Reds, they really kept hold of the ball better this week, and only conceded 4 turnovers while winning 11 turnovers themselves. So that was a good one for them. That is something they really improved on. Then we move over to the game I was super excited about before the weekend, the Bulls versus the Crusaders. The Crusaders are ultimately thrashing the Bulls 45-13. The Bulls, they were their own worst enemy in this game. They didn't keep the ball, very poor first time tackling, and Pollard gave a lot of aimless kicks straight to the back 3 of the Crusaders. And the Crusaders, they just capitalized on that. They had good counter attacks. They caught the Bulls actually off guard in this game. Usually other countries' teams like the New Zealand teams and the Australian teams come to the Highveld, which is Pretoria and Johannesburg, and they try and slow down the game a little bit, because in the second half they usually get a little bit tired because of the altitude. But they just sped up the game and they looked fitter than the Bulls throughout the game. And things that they capitalized on as well, they usually went in the outside channels where the wingers' defense was really not that great. Reese for the Crusaders, he scored a hat-trick. Mahunga, 2 tries and a try assist. He had great cross kicks in that game as well. And yeah, he just had a classy performance. And after that, a lot of people are calling him to wear the all black jersey at number 10 and Beauden to shift to fullback. It could work, but I think it's too quick to write off Beauden Barrett. He is consistent with his performances. Vermeulen for the Bulls, the only standout player. He had 6 turnovers in that game, which is a lot. Then the next game was the Highlanders 32-27 of the Jaguares. I said the Jaguares could win this one, and actually they really looked like they could throughout this game. It was very entertaining and it was great to watch with a lot of attacking rugby. The Highlanders, they kept their playoff hopes alive. with that performance, with that score they got. While the Jaguares, they could have taken lead in the South African conference, but ultimately they did not. They're still in third spot. Then the halftime score for the game, it was 26-13. The Bulls and Sharks and the other South African teams will thank the Highlanders for this one, because if the Jaguares took a claim to that top spot, they would be in a very strong position to finish first in South Africa. The Jaguares backline just played really well. Guys like Cancelliere, I like seeing him play. He's such a diminutive winger, but he gets his sidesteps through, ducks under tackles, makes a lot of meters. So that was pretty good to see. The experience that came off the bench for the Jaguares actually got them back into the game after they were trailing by 13 points or so at halftime. I loved watching the runs from both sides. Both sides tried to run with the ball instead of kick it. Then it was the Chiefs beating the Sharks 29-23. It's also one I predicted pretty closely, but it was an action-packed thriller in difficult conditions, and it just kept us on the edge of our seats. The Chiefs' defense was cut open a couple of times in this game by the Sharks, who had great runs from great players, but ultimately they would have a small handling error that would cost them a try or two. Weber, the scrum half from the Chiefs, he was influential, as I predicted before this game in my fantasy team video, scoring 2 tries in that game. Ardron for the Chiefs as well, he just saved the game in the last few seconds with a tackle that just looked highly improbable. The Sharks, they really would have wanted to get this one. It's their first defeat on tour, and they actually got a bonus point from it. So with that, they moved to the top of the conference of the South African conference. There's now 5 points separating the Sharks at the top and the Stormers at the bottom. Bosch, he was important again in this game, and he really is looking like he wants to make that number 10 jersey his own. Then it was the Lions beating the Waratahs with 1 point, 29-28. It was a really good game to watch. When the one side scored, the other side came right back and scored as well. Both teams had the intent of scoring tries, but both sides also had really poor defense. There were some questionable decisions from the Lions at the end of the game, where they already had the lead. Then they took rather the line-out option than going for the penalty. Look, you still are in danger of losing the game, but yeah, it could really bite them in the foot, that, because if they didn't actually get the ball a lot from their lineouts, the Waratahs really did compete for it, and they are one of those teams that have the ability to go over the whole field and score a try on the other side. The Waratahs really went for it in this game. The Wallabies, Beale, Foley, Hooper, Simmons, they stood out in this one. They would maybe question a couple of refereeing calls. Yeah, I hate bringing something like that up after a game, but the refereeing wasn't at its finest. It has been worse throughout the season, so this one was alright. It wasn't too bad, but always for the losing side, they would feel hard done, where the winning side would say, it wasn't that bad. The Lions, they were the only side in South Africa that won, and now they are above the Stormers at 4th in the conference. Then the Sunday game, Brumbies 33-0 of the Sunwolves. The Sunwolves season just looks like it derailed completely. It's been a few weeks since they've looked like they could beat any team in this competition. They actually had more possession of the ball, 54%, but all that possession was pointless. They didn't really do anything with it. They couldn't keep the ball either, with 19 turnovers, and their defense was shocking as well, with 16 missed tackles. The Brumbies, they got 5 points from this game. Now they move to the top of the Australian Conference, above the Rebels, even though the Rebels did win. The backline for the Brumbies actually stood out. Spate, Kuridrani, Powell. It's a high contrast to last week where their front rowers or their front rankers really stood out with their mauls and the tries that they could score with their pack. The discipline for both sides were reasonably good. Both of the sides didn't give away too many penalties. After this week's games, we can see that the season is all but over. Please check out the Dream Team video that would be here somewhere on my left, or check something else out if you want to. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please press the subscribe button. That's it for now. Cheers.